We are living in strange times. Perhaps more than ever before in our lifetimes, it is critically important that we stay connected to the divine, our souls, and to keep our energetic vibrations high. That can be incredibly hard to do in the face of the 24-hour news cycle, social media, and personal and relational division. But it is possible to raise your frequency in order to support and manifest good in your life and in the world. The Higher Vibrations meditation class with Cynthia Alice Anderson will meet online in June on Wednesday evenings. Higher Vibrations will focus on the transformation of low vibes, opening to peace, finding higher vibrations, and will give practical application for your life. You can drop in for a single Higher Vibrations class for just $15 or enroll in the entire class for the discounted rate of $45. Seating is limited and the Higher Vibration class starts soon, so enroll today at cynthiaaliceanderson.com/higher vibrations. Natural Awakenings Magazine and Zen Living Realty present The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly show featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 103, Making Space. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm the host, and I'm here today in my home studio, but I'm still with my producer.
Hi, this I got all Twitter painted. This is Dave Croft. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of the Authentic Spiritual Journey, 103. And
103, yes, show 103. And Dave is in his home studio. We're being very responsible because I was out in a larger demonstration with more people, and my son had a little sore throat. So we're just making sure everybody's okay and protecting each other's families the best we can. So I want to just give a shout out when you're doing that. We appreciate it because it's hard. It's a hard situation we're all in right now.
Yeah, so I had to. I was going to have friends over, and we were going to do a big cookout and everything. But some of those guys went to the demonstrations as well. And again, with Larry and Judy here at the house, and they're exceedingly susceptible. And I think I mentioned this on the show. Larry had a doctor's appointment, and the doctor prescribed, "Do not go outside." He said, "You are not allowed to go outside at all," because he's just like patient zero for this kind of thing. Diabetic, elderly in his 70s, weak heart, all of those things. And so just in an overabundance of caution, we decided to go ahead and do another remote session, after a couple of weeks. And, basically, everybody kind of stay clear. And then maybe we'll have the cookout and have you back over. And
Yes.
and all of that,
Well,
yeah.
we're making preparations to open CC Orlando as well. So I know, friends, we're saying all of this because we're in this with you. There's nobody that's not touched by this. There's none of us that's not touched by what's happening with the change in our world that I'm very happy about. Equality for all. And we've always been a stand for diversity. So we continue with that, and we continue supporting everyone on their spiritual journey. And we stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter and continue to and always will. So we thank you for your support of us in that. And I also acknowledge CCU Orlando for always being a place of diversity and having a diversity team and such as that. So we honor you and we thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been just completely heartbroken these last couple of weeks, just absolutely heartbroken. And I actually called up one of my oldest best friend whom I've known since we were in sixth grade. And I think I mentioned him, Solomon. And I just had like I was almost in tears just talking to him. And I just wanted to say, you matter. You matter to me. You have taught me so much, and I love you. And I just want you to know you absolutely matter to me, and you are so important to me. And that was a hard conversation for me to have, especially a couple of weeks ago, or one of the shows. We talked about the the white guilt and, hey, this is all my fault. I'm straight white
Mhm.
guy, and so
Mhm.
um, I've flipped a switch in my social media. If anybody's listening and follow me on Facebook or whatever,
Yes.
I cannot remain silent anymore. I can't take an
Right.
apolitical stance because
Right.
the way I feel is silence is condoning this, and I just
It
can't
in
any
fact
longer.
is. It in fact is. And, there was a situation in my ministerial school, and of course, I went to school at Unity Village that, from the outside, people think is love, joy, peace. Well, Unity Village, like everywhere, has people working there, and there are can be limited viewpoints. And when I was in school, which is 20 some years ago now, or 20 years ago now, there was a question about gay marriage on campus, and we were in actually a diversity training, and one of my friends said, "Well, I don't understand why." He said, "Okay, we just found out they don't allow gay marriage unity, where we say we're all one. Why? Why is that? And why don't you do something?" I said, "Well, if I do something, I have a homosexual agenda. If you do it, you're a social activist." Because he was white and straight and a man and married, with a daughter. So he did lead that charge, and we did get all signatures from both ministerial classes, and it passed unanimously with the board. So it's so important, Dave, what you're saying, because I'm saying this issue, much like the issue of the LGBTQ community wanting equality,
Hmm.
it's virtually the same issue. And so, even though you're not the type person who's ever supported this kind of racist thinking, and we were talking about this before George Floyd and
Hmm.
before, the recent murders we've seen in the last year. We've always been talking about this. So I think what's happened is that your voice has just gotten louder and risen to the top, and I think that's great. But I acknowledge it because there are a lot of people right now giving lip service who haven't really been on board. So
Yeah, like a lot of
I'm thrilled for
corporations.
the shift. I'm thrilled for more people speaking up, just like what happened after Pulse has now happened after George Floyd for the Black community, and we're happy to be a part of that shift.
Yeah,
And
100%.
mhm,
And I feel there is a real shift. I'm seeing
mhm,
across the board, not
mhm,
just like friends who I never would have dreamed would ever get into activism, but now we're 2 weeks into sustained protests. I'm
right,
glad that the violence and all of that surrounding the protests had that's ebbed a little bit,
mhm,
and so
mhm,
what's remaining is, hey, this is no longer. It was never okay, but we've had enough. This
yes,
far, no
yes.
further. You know what I mean?
Well, and the areas that are waking up are surprising. I was talking to a friend this morning who is organizing protests in the middle of Kansas,
Yep.
you know, and so that's a major awakening. So we want to say we're with you, and we also want to get to what we do, which is teaching spiritual principle, which is related to everything going on in the world.
That's right.
So I think a lot of us think, well, there's my spiritual life, and then there's everything else. But the way we teach spirituality, the way I teach spirituality, is that uh, spirituality is the way in which we live. It's why if we say we are one and God is everywhere and that God is in you, that we then treat you with the same dignity that we treat our own family members. So today our topic is making space. Making space.
Yes.
It's a bit of a continuation of our prosperity series that I'm doing at CC Orlando. I'm also doing it online on Monday nights. And so I want to provide as much support for people who are looking for making some unexpected income right now. And this is one of the steps. And I'm wanting to slow down the idea of making space because it's not just about finances, but we're going to start there.
Right.
We're gonna start there. So the name of my series is Unexpected Income. There's all kinds of information on my website. Dave will direct you there in the show notes. You can even buy a little booklet for under $3, and you can join the class for all of $1. So making space. The full principle for this is making a space with sorry The full principle is called making a space with spiritual intention. So, our first week, we talked about the universe abhors a vacuum. In other words, the universe hates a vacuum. This means that when we make space, something rushes in to fill it. So, the reason we want to make space with spiritual intention is that the intention that we create the space with is what then will be drawn into that space. So, this is true of our financial life, it's true of our emotional life, it's true about everything. Intention is everything in the spiritual life, in the spiritual realm. So, making a space with spiritual intention, we're setting up a way to receive the good of the universe. When we're talking about money, here's what I mean. If you're setting unexpected income and you want more money, you have to make a physical space for the money to go.
Hmm.
It can be an envelope that you write, that you put, if you receive money electronically, you can still print a page or write out an amount and put it in your envelope. If you receive cash, you can take that cash and put it in your envelope. You can make a space on your company website to receive donations. You can set up a bank account to receive unexpected income. So it's important to make a space to receive with spiritual intention, knowing not only creating the space itself, but then what will the money be used for that I do receive? For my life and work, it was really important for me that my unexpected income have a spiritual intention, a spiritual intention. So, what does this mean? Well, this means that the money that I take in would be used for a holy purpose. So already I know how the mind works. Somebody's out there saying, "Oh, I can't use it to pay my bills." No, that is a holy purpose. Caring for your family and paying your bills is a holy purpose. My concern is if I receive extra income that I just go out and blow it and I'm not staying conscious of what it is I'm wanting to do and what it is I need to do, uh, to care for my responsibilities. So when we're saying making space, so I want to back up a little bit because in our class we went into more depth about getting ready to receive, and one of those things that we discussed was uh, clearing up your workspace to get ready to do your work. In other words, is there old energy in our workspace, in our computers, on our desk, in our files that needs to be removed? If there is, cleaning those things out helps make a space for something new to come in. So I want you, if you're listening and you're not driving, do this. Hold your hands tight in a fist. And now try to pick something up around you. You can't do it.
I'm not going to try to pick up my
Don't
drink
try it,
here.
Dave. I tried to pick up a fountain pen just now and got really inky. So you can't do it. Now, if you open one hand, picking something up becomes really easy, right? Right? You just made a space to receive something. You made a space to receive something. So you must make a space to receive the flow of God's good. And when we're talking about income, it's really wonderful to open an account, to create an envelope, make a physical space, a checking account, some place where you're going to actually receive those funds.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned computer life because, my whole world is computer life.
Totally.
And something that I've been doing a lot lately is, at the end of the day, I don't shut my computer down because it does reboots and backups and all that stuff. But I will shut all the windows, I will clean up my desktop, and I found that the next morning when I come in to start work, I'm not carrying over any energy from the night before,
Yes.
especially if it's like a social media post or if it's like a news article that really made me incensed or whatever, right?
Right.
I don't, that's not the first thing I see in the morning. Instead,
Hmm.
what I see, I think I've mentioned how this year is my year of Dory and just keep writing all of that stuff, right? And
Right.
so I have a wallpaper that is Dory from Finding Nemo. And so that's the first and only thing I see before I open up
Mhm.
anything. And I found that that's been
Beautiful.
super helpful for me.
Beautiful. Yes, I think it is because it's part of setting your intention.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, even the way we treat our workspace, like if anybody's watching online and has watched me before, you've maybe noticed that behind me is a little bit different color, or is this black and white? I'm not sure. But
It's
anyway,
up to you. It could be color if you want.
but anyway, behind me used to be a different color. So I've been doing a little homegrown construction, some painting and and things like that. But when I of course to do painting, there's always things you have to kind of demo, and I tend to be very good at demolition. It's great for my anger management.
Uh,
There was an old chair rail behind where I sit, and even though it was useful at one time, I don't particularly like how a chair rail looks. So I took it out. Well, then that was construction, so that meant everything needed to be patched and sanded, and all of that to prepare to paint. So just when you thought it was going to be an easy project, suddenly I just added 6 hours to the whole thing. So that's fine. That's fine. I had a good friend come over, and help me. That was great. Helped me and my son. But um, all this to say, everything had to be removed from my workspace
mm.
because dust does not work well with computers. It does not work well with electronics
Recording
and
equipment.
recording equipment. No, it had to be moved to a completely different part of the house. So I got to see all of the top of my desk, and I got to like really like cleanse the energy and cleanse the whole space. And so I even know the former owners of the home I bought, and they are dear, dear people. But this is now my energy in this home. And now my workspace is the energy of my work. So, all this to say, what I've noticed as I've changed this area, that's it's just so happens it's in conjunction with some changes in my work. I'm offering like different packages. And I offered like a counseling package. I've offered a package for, in other words, for one on one coaching with me. And there's a discount if you buy a certain number. Well, I did one very simple email and had like 4 or 5 people sign up right away. So not only did my physical space change during this time, my financial status changed because I had unexpected income come
Mm.
in right away. So a lot of making space is on the subconscious or even unconscious level, that when we're changing our work, it's natural to want to change your space. But sometimes if there's leftover energy from a former job or the way we think about our career, then the making of space has to be on purpose. So we want to move out the old energy so the new can come forward. So in my case, right when I changed the wall, I happened to also change the structure of my counseling appointments and the structure of my website. I'm also offering a class for the least amount of money I ever have, which is $1, my prosperity class called Unexpected Income. But what's amazing is my income has gone up, not down, because I made a space to receive with spiritual intention. So when we're making a space, the intention piece is what is going to be the holy use for this money? Some examples might be money to provide for your family's needs. It might be money for retirement, money for vacation. It might be money to give away to causes and charities that you believe in. It might be to give to your church because your church has been supporting you through all of this time and you want to really see your church grow and prosper. It might be to pay bills. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with paying bills. It might be to care for an elderly loved one. But be very clear what the money will be used for. What we know about intention and what we know about the law of attraction is it's thought plus feeling that equals the manifestation. So, first, we have to clear away what doesn't work so that the new can come forward. And we want to be clear, what do we want to come forward so that what comes forward is in alignment with our intention. So, make a space with spiritual intention really becomes an activity that is ongoing. It's an activity that is, for me, a lot of fun because it clears out old energy and makes room for the new. For me, this is exciting. For me, this is fun. And I love to see how the principles work. I love to see how the principles work. What I want you to know is we just started the, the unexpected income last week. I've already gotten emails of manifestation already. There have already been emails of manifestation. And so, um, what I described it as in one of the classes, and I want to repeat it here. So, any of you that have dogs or cats know when a dog or cat wants to get into the room, if they can use their paw and they touch the door, and if it's not latched real good, they kind of barely push it open and squeeze in. Well, just thinking about making space is like cracking that door open to receive. It's like you've just made a space to receive God's good. It's even though you haven't done anything yet, saying that you are ready to receive begins to open the door. And of course, the commitment becomes I will tie 10% to wherever I receive my spiritual food on what it is I receive that is extra, that is unexpected income. So, we're going to talk more about this principle of making a space with spiritual intention when we come back right after these messages.
We'll return to the program in just a few moments, but first, we wanted to give a special word of thanks to our podcast partner, Natural Awakenings Magazine of Central Florida, Greater Orlando. Each month, Natural Awakenings magazines across the country take a practical look at the latest natural approaches to nutrition, fitness, creative expression, personal growth, and sustainable living. Natural Awakenings magazine is a free publication and is available in selected stores, health and education centers, healing centers, public libraries, and wherever free publications are located. You could learn more, including advertising opportunities for your business, by calling 407-628-0705. We'd also like to extend our special thanks to Zen Living Realty. Zen Living Realty's mission is to mindfully serve, connect, and positively impact their customers, partners, and community through their Zen approach to real estate. Their vision is to be the most trusted real estate brokerage in the Central Florida area. You can reach Zen Living Realty at zenlivingrealty.com or call 407-800-2717. And now we return you to this week's episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey with your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
So, the first half, we discussed making a space with spiritual intention about receiving in our financial life. But this is really a powerful spiritual principle and has impacts on every aspect of our lives. Many of you know that I have many of you know that I have roses that I really like to work in. I've got a family rose that was my mom's rose bush, and before that was her mother's. And so it means a lot to me, to have this. For the rose to grow, it requires tending. And a friend of mine who is a rose expert taught me this lesson. She said, roses, when they grow on their own, have a hard time coming to bud on the rose because all of the enormous energy that's stored in the cane of the rose goes to making leaves instead of a beautiful flower. She said, to really have a beautiful rose, what you have to do is cut back all the extra so that all the enormous energy that's stored in the cane can come forward for you. So she said, your roses are beautiful, but you will get double the number or more if you trim back more of these leaves. So this principle I have applied to virtually every area of my life. As we trim away what we don't need, it makes space for the enormous energy that's contained in us and in whatever situation we're working in come forward. It's a very powerful spiritual principle that we find in nature. Making a space is a spiritual activity, and it's exactly what's happening now in our world with making space for everyone to be treated as equal. So, what we're doing, we're removing monuments, we're removing old ways of doing things, we're removing silence.
Mm.
And what's coming forward is love, acceptance, a peace. And is there also trauma? Yes, yes. So I'm not negating or minimizing the looting that went on, and very often the lower energies want to kind of hijack this new growth and new energy.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, but I want you to notice that it's not just enough to say no more. Things have to change. And I noticed in Virginia, some old Confederate monument was being removed. The old Confederate flag was removed from NASCAR. I never
NASCAR.
thought it that's pretty major.
That's yeah,
So
that's huge. And the Marine, the Marine, you can no longer display it on Marine bases.
oh, I did not
Yep.
hear that.
Yep.
So you see, so removing old things that are no longer a part of the new consciousness means change is happening. So if the change is starting on the inside, the outside begins to reflect. If you start changing things on the outside, the inside begins to reflect this new energy and new consciousness. The scriptures say, as above, so below, as within, so without. So if you're not in the flow, if you're not feeling like new and good is coming your way, then you can create that energy and pattern.
You know, when I hear the term making a space, and one of the things that Shannon and I do is let's say one of us is working really, really late, whether in our offices or maybe we had a late night gig or something, then the other person will take it upon themselves to make a space for when the other person returns. Like if Shannon's off
Great.
doing a music director thing, and I know because she'll hit me up on Waze, hey, I'm on my way home, and what I'll do is I'll turn the lights really down low in the bedroom, and I'll turn on
Great.
some soft meditative type music, burns, make the bed, and just turn on a candle or something, and just make a space so that when she reenters the home from a night of gigging
Right.
or
Gigging,
whatever,
whatever.
or it could just be working in her office, she's doing graphic design or web stuff or whatever, so that when she reenters the home,
Hmm.
that it is a place of peace, and it gives her permission to kind of put that aside, and it creates a spiritually calming environment that she can kind of re-enter home life. And so this is something that we've done for quite a long time, and it's really important. And what I've found is it's not only helpful for her, it's also helpful for me for many reasons. One reason is I'm able to serve her in that, and I'm able
Hmm.
to provide that space. And so the act of doing it it's like an act of service for her. But
Totally.
I absolutely benefit from the space itself and from a Shannon who has rested all of that stuff at the front door.
Yes.
And so when you said like today's episode is going to be making a space, that immediately came to mind. And we now, we have an Amazon Echo, and so now we just say, Alexa, make a
Play.
space, and it does. Oh, I'm going to trigger Alexa here, and it turns all the lights down automatically and creates a playlist and it starts playing. But it's been really, really important for us, and we both do it for each other if we've had like late nights or whatever. So that's
Uh-huh.
been really, really good.
Oh, that is a beautiful, beautiful practice, and it is. I mean, that's loaded with intention.
Hmm.
To make space for somebody you love in that way, and yeah, how could that not go well on the other end of that? And it's a great honoring of who she is and what she brings to the relationship, and when she does it for you too. So yes, making a space with spiritual intention is really transformative. It's also very, very grounding. It also invites clean, clear energy, energy with a lot of clarity. It's like,
Absolutely.
if you come in but from a tough day and you have that, you just want to go, oh, this is so beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
it's like the whatever the spatial equivalent of a warm bubble bath is, you know.
Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, I do, a morning meditation, a spiritual focus time. I often speak about it. And recently I can't remember why I had to break in the middle, which is very unusual. And my son came in and said, "Wow, I love the vibe in here." And so he picked it up right away. So that that is a great reminder for all of us that even if we're creating a space for ourselves, we want to create that energy and that space so that we have the ability to come into that, to be nurtured by that. And you've heard me say before that the space itself is living. We don't think about this with our kind of, I'll say, our colonized minds, that the material our homes are made with is wood, it's metal, and these are living elements, and they have something to say about the energy in the room too. So when we do beautiful practices, when we create spaces of intention, it's like the house joins us
Mm,
in that. It creates the space along with us. And I want to mention too, if you're a parent, sometimes I'm sure you're already applying this to your relationships, but it means so much to our children when we prepare special places for them in the home, or special dinners, or special night, like, hey, I got this book for us to read together. It's like it makes a space in consciousness for connection. So this is really, really important to be thinking about. So I want to
yeah.
just give you some space to breathe into that for a
Mm,
moment. One of the things I'm doing wherever I'm making space, and this is particularly true financially, is that I want to be, I want everything I'm doing, including my work, of course, I'm dedicating its use to God. So whatever I bring in, I'm dedicating its use to God. Whatever money I bring in, whatever work I get, I'm dedicating its use to God. And it's very interesting because I've worked in the spiritual setting for so long that I'm suddenly building a lot of corporate clients, people that work at the corporate level and high management positions, vice presidents, presidents, CEOs are coming because they're wanting to bring more peace, more effective communication, more spirituality in the workplace, and they're seeking guidance. So even though I'm working at the corporate level, I'm dedicating the work itself to God, and that's transcending what in the past might be a limit for my work. So I'm hope you're hearing that there's no limit to what spirit can do in and through these powerful intentions. So so to be thinking about, so if you're wanting to manifest something, how are you making space for it? That really becomes the question. If you're wanting money, if you're wanting a job, if you're wanting a gig, how are you thinking about things? How are you making space to receive what it is you say you want to manifest? How are you listening to that inner voice of spirit to move in and through, to guide you to to make space with spiritual intention for what it is you want to receive? And you may want to do some journaling and get very quiet about what it is you're wanting to bring forward. In my early days of learning to be a co-creator, I sometimes manifested things later. I said, "Oh boy, that was I'm not sure I should have manifested that one." So we want to be as conscious as possible and be an observer of ourselves and our own process, so that what we're bringing forward is really something that's going to move us forward on the journey, or something that is a legitimate need or desire of our heart. So how are you making space? How is spirit working with you on what it is you want to bring forward, and then consciously creating space for that? And if you just feel stuck in general, start moving something on whatever level you can, with your clothes, with the any area of your house, your garage, your kitchen, um your personal life, your professional life. Move the energy, move the energy, move the energy. Throw away what you don't need. Make space with spiritual intention. And we want to leave you with the idea that once you do receive, it is very, very important to give thanks. Very important to give thanks. Anytime you receive abundance of any kind, it is so important to give thanks, to really, really acknowledge the source of all good. And for me, as I do that, as God, as I understand God, I'm always giving thanks for that. I have a dear friend named Edwene Gaines, and many of you know who she is. She wrote the book Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, and has just been an incredible prosperity teacher over the years. And one time she was at our church, and she had done a prosperity seminar, as she is known to do. And when we paid her, she looked at the check and started screaming and jumping up and down. She goes, "Ah, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God," literally in the parking lot. And I said, "Edwene, is everything okay?" She said, "Oh, honey, I can praise God for a full 15 minutes." And I thought, as much as Edwene does this work, she's done it for years. She was able and very naturally found the joy to give thanks for all she had received, because it exceeded her expectations. And we also were very happy to give it to her, and I know she's had numerous experiences. So when somebody is very happy and joyous in giving her what is absolutely hers by right of consciousness and by agreement in the contract, she loves it. So it was a wonderful thing for me to experience, because I thought, okay, every time I get something unexpected, it's really important for me to do a happy dance and really and really give thanks. You know, the scriptures say God loves a cheerful giver. I think God loves a cheerful receiver as well.
Hmm.
So I think that's an important part of the formula. So we remember that um, the universe abhors a vacuum, which means the universe hates a vacuum, and that when we begin to move things out of the way and make space, that we want to make space not just haphazardly, but with a lot of spiritual intention. We want to have clarity around what it is we're wanting to bring forward, um, and even which area of life we're working with. We also want to be really clear about what use the money will have when it is brought forward, or whatever it is we may be seeking to manifest. You know, what is it? What is the holy use that we're looking to manifest, with what we're making space? So make space, be very mindful of what the money, or whatever you're trying to manifest, what are you going to use that for? And then when it is received, remember to give thanks. Remember to give thanks. Always, God is our source of all good. God is our source of all good. The affirmation I want to leave you with today, one of the affirmations I've worked with over the years, and this one has really proven to be amazing in bringing forth abundance into my life. God is my supply, substance is mine now. God is my supply, substance is mine now. If we apply this affirmation to the principle we're speaking of, every time we say an affirmation, we're releasing the old thought and replacing it with the new one. When we have a thought of not enough, we want to say, God is my supply, substance is mine now, right? So then that makes space for us to receive. So we're working on a physical level by clearing our physical space. We're working at the level of the mind and heart and soul as we work with affirmations, as we make space with intention and clarity. And then we affirm the truth: God is my supply, substance is mine now. God is my supply, substance is mine now. That clears the old thoughts and makes way for new, abundant, prosperous thoughts to come forward. And it helps condition our mind and prepare us to receive. And remember, always giving thanks for all that we are receiving, realizing God is our source. The last one I say often, I'll give it to you too. Uh, God is my source and I am richly blessed. God is my source and I am richly blessed. God is my source and I am richly blessed. So we're praying this with you and for you, dear friend, and we want to thank you for joining us today. Also, we want to mention to please, if you haven't subscribed yet to our YouTube page and haven't shared anything on social media in a while, go on and share some of our messages, some of our shows, so that we can reach more people. We get real excited when people all over the world email us and call us. And also, if there's ever a topic that you want to hear that we have not hit yet, or you'd like to hear more about, please feel free to let us know how we can be of more service to you on the spiritual journey. But we bless you so much during this time. Know we lift you in prayer daily for God's highest and best in your life. Many blessings, dear friends.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey presented by Natural Awakenings Magazine and Zen Living Realty. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is also made possible through the continued support of our angel patrons, Dove Borland, Peter Gibson, Paul Caswell, Arlene Meyer, Kathy and Terry, Marcia Mott, Nora Miles, Diana Cox, Leslie Williams, Susanna Garcia, Shayla Mount, Dorothy Moore, Aggie Payton, Taryn Tucker, and Anna Evans. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2020 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.